I will give you so much power that you will rule the whole world. Just throw that garland out the window. Think about that for a second. Imagine hearing a disembodied voice just whispering that dark promise to you in the dead of night. It's absolutely chilling, right? You're basically given a choice. Stay loyal to the people you love in a completely terrifying situation, or just give in to this absolute corrupting darkness. Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. So, let's dive right into it. Today, we're decoding a truly gripping Indian horror narrative, the terrifying tale of the Koina Chudail, a sinister witch and this mysterious entity known as the Black Orb. And you know, what makes this source material so fascinating, it's not just the cheap jump scares, it's the rich lore, the intense psychological suspense, and honestly, the devastating human betrayal that happens when people are pushed to their absolute limits. We're going to map out exactly how this haunting operates, step by terrifying step. Part 1. The Haunted Hotel Mystery. Okay, so every good horror story needs a safe haven that eventually turns into a trap, right? And that is exactly what happens to the hotel managed by our two main characters, Ayan and Mira. Now, the terror doesn't kick off with full-blown ghosts or furniture flying across the room. It actually masks itself as a mundane nuisance. Basically, a highly destructive, mysterious cat starts terrorizing the property. Guests are getting completely freaked out by these loud noises, things breaking, just general chaos spreading everywhere. And at first, the staff just tries to rationalize it. They're like, oh, it's just a stray animal, and they even start boarding up windows to try and keep it out.
But looking at the evidence from the source material, we really have to ask, was it actually just a stray cat? Come on, when things go bump in the night in a place that already has a dark history, the most logical, everyday answer is almost never the right one. And sure enough, the definitive proof of the paranormal drops in this really terrifying way. The hotel staff literally watches this so-called cat fall from a balcony right smack in front of their eyes. But here's the catch. When they rush to check the CCTV footage to see how the heck this thing got in, the cameras recorded absolutely nothing, a total blank screen. So they realize they're dealing with an entity that is completely invisible to technology, yet perfectly terrifyingly visible to the naked human eye.
Which brings us to Section 2, Secrets of the Black Orb. Once the tech fails, our characters are forced to turn to the ancient lore, and they discover that this cat isn't a cat at all. It's actually the Kala Gola, or the Black Orb. Think of it as a supernatural harbinger. It deliberately disguises itself as an everyday animal to infiltrate a space, bringing this constant, low-level hum of fear and destruction. It's basically softening up the targets, making everyone super paranoid and exhausted long before the real, true evil even steps foot inside the building.
Now this is where it gets crazy. The crucial detail here is the timeline which Mira pieces together during a chilling phone call with a woman named Supriya, someone who has actually survived this exact entity before. Supriya drops this terrifyingly precise pattern on her. Day 1, the Kalagola appears and starts wreaking havoc. Day 3, the actual witch arrives to claim her territory. And from day 4 onwards, pure, unadulterated chaos and destruction. So this isn't some random haunting. It is a highly calculated, supernatural siege.
Let's look at Section 3, Rise of Koina Chudail.
Okay, so the lore has given our characters a countdown, but here's the kicker. The clock is already ticking. Mira connects the dots from her phone call and suddenly realizes, wait a minute, that mysterious cat was first spotted exactly 3 days ago. Following that strict supernatural timeline Supriya just warned her about, it means the witch isn't on her way. She is already inside. Just imagine that sinking feeling of dread. They are trapped inside a sealed building with the Koina Chudail, and she might already be walking around disguised as one of the very guests they're desperately trying to protect.
Moving into Section 4, Greed, Panic, and Betrayal.
The scariest part of all this? The witch doesn't even need to show her true face to start tearing them apart. This supernatural threat acts like a massive pressure cooker, and it really shows how quickly the social fabric just completely unravels under stress. Guests start panicking over unseen threats. Then, a guest's pure gold jewelry gets stolen, and trust just evaporates instantly. A poor nanny is violently accused and then goes missing, and to top it all off, the wealthy guest starts class-shaming the hotel owners, flat-out calling them service-class thieves. The main takeaway here is really unsettling. Before the monster even lifts a finger to attack, human paranoia basically does all her dirty work for her. Naturally, all this external pressure causes a massive fracture between our two leads, pushing their totally opposite motivations to the absolute brink. On one hand, you have Mira's survival instinct. She considers herself a normal person, she is sick and tired of being insulted by the exact same people she's trying to save, and honestly, she just wants to pack up and flee. But on the other hand, you have Ayan's sacred duty. He's bound by a solemn oath to his spiritual mentor, his Baba Ji, and he flat out refuses to abandon his fight against these evil spirits no matter how awful the innocent people are acting. It gets so heated that Mira actually warns him that they are like fire and water, totally incompatible, and that eventually the water is going to extinguish the fire.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the ultimate dark temptation.
This heartbreaking rift between them gives the evil entity exactly what it's been waiting for. Biding its time for the perfect moment, it corners Ayan when he is at his most isolated. And through some really masterful psychological manipulation, it literally throws Mira's exact words right back in his face. It tells them, yeah, you guys are like fire and water, calling Mira a weak, ordinary human who's just holding him back. It completely validates Ayan's anger, making him feel like he is way too powerful to be tied down by someone who just doesn't understand his sacred duty.
And then, the entity presents this twisted, three-step contract. Step 1. Abandon Mira completely and align yourself with the darkness. Step 2. To actually signal his submission, Ayan has to take a specific garland and throw it right out of his window. And Step 3. Meet the entity down at the graveyard tonight, where he'll be granted absolute power to rule the world. It is a classic, terrifying Faustian bargain, literally weaponizing his sacred urge to protect into a dark temptation to rule.
Which brings us to the agonizing climax of this whole narrative. What's it going to be? Will Ayan break under the immense pressure, throw that garland out the window, and surrender his soul to the Koina Chudail for ultimate dark power? Or will he somehow find a way to bridge this massive gap with Mira, honor his oath, and stand strong against the evil that's consuming his hotel? This story pushes human resilience right to its breaking point, leaving us with one really provocative question to think about. At the end of the day, is the true horror the ghost waiting out in the hallway, or the darkness whispering right inside our own ears?